They are members of the amazing spectacle that is Pink's touring band. Today, we'll catch up with them on the backside of the pandemic and get their views on what it takes to operate at that level and where things are going for them as we all get back to work. We'd like to welcome Eva Gardner and Justin Derrico to the Cordial stage. Welcome, y'all.
Hey, hey.
Hi, thank you.
Great to see you. We're really happy to have you in the family. I've told you that 1,000 times, so that isn't a surprise to y'all. So, but want to get right into it. And you two are members of one of the biggest productions and entourages in all music right now. And having just watched the All I Know So Far documentary, I kind of got to see behind the scenes on that, and what an extravaganza that is. It's just crazy. Yeah. So let's get started with what are artists looking for in a touring and recording band member? What are they looking for in you?
I think, with Pink specifically, I think, with all of us, like collectively, we're all individuals, like stylistically and it's kind of crazy because we all just bond, like, we all love each other very much. And musically there's a bond there as well. But I think that there's a lot of individuality amongst all of us. And, she's even said, I've asked in the past, like, oh, do you want, there's a solo on the record. Do you want to play it like the record? She's like, no, be you, I want you to be you. And I think that's why it's such a cool experience for everybody, live and people listening, and for us, because we get to be ourselves. She's such a badass musician herself that, she wants us to be our badass selves, I want to say that probably goes for a lot of artists, but her in particular, I think that's one of the cool things.
But you also, I think the thing about all of us too is like we're all at the top of our game, right? Like we've been together for over a decade, and we can count on our hands probably the times we've made a mistake on stage, or been late to lobby call, or just been irresponsible, whatever it is, because there's no room for any of that, right? And there's no time to snooze on being like super reliable and on top of your game, and also like being willing to grow with the artist too, right? Like being with her for so long, she's grown as an artist and as a person. We've gone on that journey with her, and picked up different instruments on the way, or done what it's necessary to just raise the bar and grow and expand the skill set, and I think that's part of making yourself a valuable player as well.
One of the things I recognize and was interested in that she said is, I don't want just a guitar player. I want Justin. I don't want just a bass player. I want Eva. And she really made it clear that this wasn't just about putting players in those positions. It was about you being in those positions, and that meant a lot to me. I was really pretty blown away by the documentary. It was great stuff.
Yeah, us too. It's nice to be appreciated and wanted like that, But she holds the bar so high that we have to rise to that or stay at that level as well, or whatever. But it's, I think that's just the real big thing with her. It's that, we all instantly had a connection with her from day one, I think, as well. And I think she's sensitive to that, so I think that's another huge part of why we've been here for so long.
So Eva, I think we've heard the story of how you ended up in Pink's band, and that will be in the masterclass that is also part of this stuff that we're doing. But Justin, how did you end up in the band?
I got called to audition from Paul Markovich, and he was MDing it, and I basically went in and auditioned. There was, I don't know, can't remember. There was a handful of other guitar players there, but we just immediately connected. Like at hello, like literally shaking hands. It's like, man, how do I know you? You know, how do we know each other? I think we both felt that. And, you know, I played and then they, you know, they kept me around to the end of the audition. And I was like, well, this is interesting. Because a lot of times I've auditioned in the past and like, you know, sometimes you don't ever hear anything back, or or sometimes it may take a week or two before they've decided or anything. You're just kind of like, shit, you know. But they actually hired me, you know, that day. They were like, all right, man, see you in a week in Budapest. I was like, awesome.
Can you say the names of the guys that you beat out for that gig, or do you know?
Honestly, I can't remember.
No, you don't have to. I'm just kidding.
I don't remember all the guys. I do remember, like, my buddy Johnny. He auditioned. You know, Johnny's an awesome guitar player. He played for Usher and Ariana Grande. He's an amazing MD and guitar player, and there were a couple other guys. But Johnny was the only guy I actually knew beforehand. Like, we were kind of friends already.
Right.
And because a lot of those auditions back then, when I was doing a lot of auditions, like, you kind of knew most of the people that, you know, it was kind of the same people, you know, the same kind of group. But this was more of a closed thing. So I didn't quite know all the other guys. They were all really great players, but I think that it was just, you know, it wasn't anything that they couldn't do it or anything like that. It was just a connection, a vibe, you know, more than anything, you know.
Awesome.
Justin and I have
awesome.
a similar story, actually. We both auditioned for Rockstar NXS to be in the house band.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how Paul ended up.
Yeah, that's how we ended up meeting Paul.
Yeah. And then we didn't get the show to be in the house band, but like later on down the line, Paul remembered Justin first, called him for the gig, and then when she needed a bass player, he remembered me. Yeah. Called me 2 years later. 2 years after I auditioned for the TV show.
Yeah, I think that was a year after the Rockstar thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you never know how, you know, when you meet people, you never know how they can come
I
in
almost
your
didn't
lives.
go to that audition, actually. Well, I guess they had somebody, and there was a pretty binding contract, and they were kind of on the fence about signing, signing the deal. And basically, I was the backup. Like, I went and auditioned, and Paul was like, "Hey, man, you know, we're going to give, you know, this guy till tonight to sign a contract. If he doesn't, then we need somebody tomorrow. So can you be ready?" I was like, "Sure." You know, so I learned all the songs or whatever, was ready to go. At about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. "Hey, man, sign a contract. Don't worry about it. Thanks." I was like, all good, whatever, no worries. But I almost didn't go to that audition. Like, for some reason, I think Barry Squire called me.
Barry called me too.
And he was like, "Hey, there's this TV show, Rockstar, you know, come audition, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, like, he woke me up. He's like, "Can you be down here in like 20 minutes? You know, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not really my bag. I don't know. You know, he's like, "Get your ass down here." And so I was like, okay, all right, well. And then I went down there, and, you know, that's how I met Paul. And if for Paul, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. And I still work with Paul on The Voice. He's the musical director on The Voice, and he's been great to me over the years, you know.
So we have Barry Squire to thank, ultimately.
Well, Barry, of course. Barry
for the chain of events.
Yeah. Yeah, Barry's a big deal, man.
Well, how do you know? Let's start with Eva. How do you know when you're being a good band member?
I feel like I know I'm being a good band member when I do what needs to be done to do an excellent job. Learning the songs, being prepared is a massive one. And putting in the time and effort that it takes to get the job done, like, just to the best of your ability, and doing what it takes to just shine and excel and be the best team member that you can be. And that includes not just knowing the parts, playing like excellently, but also coming in with a good attitude, being very, very positive, and being someone that is an asset to the team all around.
Yeah.
And the whole,
you, Justin?
Picture.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, she nailed it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know, our job is to, you know, make her shine and for us to shine as well. And you know, and you know, coming in, like Eva said, with good attitude, being on time, knowing your stuff, knowing your place, and just being cool. You know, I think it doesn't hurt to be a nice person. It's harder to be a dick than just a nice person. So
isn't it interesting how they,
you know, some people can you know, push your buttons, certainly, you know, but I think it's just, you know, we all have to live together, and we're all so blessed to be doing what we're doing and what we love to be doing. It's like, you know, why would you want to jeopardize that by being, you know, hard to work with? And, you know, and the other thing is just coming in and knowing your stuff, man, and being able to adapt, you know, because there's a lot of times where like, oh, we got to add 4 bars here or 8 bars there, or we're going to change, you know, things this way. The arrangement's going to go this way or whatever, you know. So just being able to kind of roll with the punches, and, you know, even logistically, you know, oh, we were supposed to go to this city, but now we're going to that city, or, you know, it's like, okay, I'm here. I got nowhere else to be.
Isn't it interesting to see how, I mean, the old days that we grew up with of the rock star stories of party animals and all that went on, that's changed completely. I mean, doesn't even seem to be a part of the life for the people that we're talking to nowadays.
I mean, it still exists.
If you're in your own band, I think there's more room if you're in your own band and it's like your thing, and there's room for you to like.
Yeah, I mean, we still party. We still have a really good time. But we're not, you know, like.
But there's no leeway for us to like sleep in and you know, miss lobby call.
Yeah,
and, like,
I mean, you know, it might hurt a little bit more than the previous day to wake up and go, you know, rolling. But I mean, as long as you're on your game, man.
No, there's no trashing hotel rooms. And
yeah, there's none of that.
Throwing TVs out the window.
And we're not doing drugs. You know, we like to have a drink and, you know, relax and hang out and have a good time. You know, we all enjoy each other's company, so it's you know.
Well, that was pretty obvious in the documentary. Again, that was one of the things that really struck me was that camaraderie that you guys have, and that all revolves around her, and not in an egotistical way either, in a very family way. I mean, that's what it looked like to me, is just a giant family that was extended from her biological family. It was really great.
It's all pretty organic. Cool.
Yeah. What does we're really curious as to what songwriting looks like. How much of your stamp do you put on the songs as you guys are working on them? What does that look like? I
mean, I've written some stuff with her over the years. Nothing that's actually been put out, but like I just recently played on That's All I Know So Far, that song. And I mean, the song was written and it was kind of demoed out, and Alicia was just kind of like, just do your thing, man. Just you know, give me something to sing to. And this was pandemic. So like I did it at my house and recorded it. And I didn't know like it was just something for her to, you know, to catch a vibe and finish writing the song. But it ended up, you know, working out, and then Greg Kirsten produced it or whatever, and he liked what I did and sort of built the whole track around that, you know, which was really cool. And yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you know, she works with different producers and writers and things, and a lot of times they are doing a lot of the recording side of it. A lot of it's already done. Like some producers have played guitar on it or bass, or a lot of stuff's programmed, this and that. And you know, like we come in and just sort of make it, say like we you know, translate live, you know, and we change things up, and we'll learn it verbatim, but then, you know, we kind of, oh, this part doesn't really work, so I got to massage it a little bit.
We'll adapt it for a live setting. Yeah.
Excellent. Tell us about when I first met Eva, she had just come off of 5 years on the road with I think Gwen Stefani, Cher, and Pink. So she was pretty worn out, and it was just when pandemic started, and she was just getting back home for like the first time in 5 years. And I found that really, really amazing that she had been out for that amount of time. Virtually hadn't seen her house for 5 years, she said. So tell us about a year in the life of a touring band. Just very briefly, how does it look a year in the life?
So, I mean, it really depends on the tour you're on, I guess. But for the most part, it's obviously a lot of traveling, right? Like you're in a different city pretty much every other day, just about, and seeing a lot of your tour bus, airplanes, airports, hotel rooms, the insides of venues. If you're lucky, you have a day off in a city you get to explore. So it's a lot of moving and shaking. And a lot of, it's like the whole Rolling Stone gathers no moss kind of a thing, right? You're not really in a place long enough to make your mark, and just kind of in and out. And if you have friends in the city, that's great. You can catch up with them. They'll come to the show. It's a nice way of our family. So that's always nice. That's a bonus if that happens. But you're just pretty much on the move all the time, which it's not for everybody, but I love it.
Yeah,
like it's my happy place.
I mean, watching the
apparently so.
Maybe really miss being on the road.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't been on the road in a couple of years.
Yeah. What does practice schedule look like? How do you guys practice for the upcoming shows?
Usually, like the band will get together for a week or two.
4 weeks, yeah.
And hash out all the arrangements and that kind of stuff, and with somewhat of an idea of how the show is going to go down. But it never, it's kind of a rough sketch. But at least we got, the bulk of the music down, and we know it well enough to make whatever changes we need to make. And then we'll link up with the dancers and the choreographers and Alicia, and start to work it in and see what's working, see what's not working, and we usually spend, I don't know, a week or so at a sound stage, shorten that stuff out. Then we end up in an actual arena with the full stage and all the production, all the lights and everything. And then we start to see how, because like when we're in the sound stage, we usually have like a big drawing chalked out on the floor, what the stage is kind of gonna be, and it's somewhat accurate, for the most part. But then you get to stage and see how things really actually are going to physically work, and how I do my guitar changes, or like whatever's happening. We kind of, we're usually in that for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks maybe, or something like that.
I remember one time we were doing production rehearsals, and then it wasn't until we got to the stage they built a drum riser for Mark. And I was standing to the left of Mark, and the way that they built the drum riser, there was like a big metal thing covering him, so I couldn't see him at all.
Oh, Funhouse?
Yeah, Funhouse.
Yeah.
I couldn't see him at all. And I was like, "Hey guys, like, it's
he was wrapped in this like.
It'd be great to see the drummer.
Yeah.
Like, gotta catch him." So it was like little details like that, where they're like, "Oh, okay," and they had to adjust the drum riser, adjust the stage, just to make sure everything.
That's pretty common though, too. I mean, like that's why we travel with carpenters and stuff like that, because we get there and it's like, the dimensions are what they are on paper, but once you get there in real life, they gotta.
I thought it was really interesting for the Wembley show how she was talking about having to run so far from different places that she had to go to, and she said, "Can you guys give me a break here and make something that is a little bit easier for me to get to? Because by the time I get there, I can't sing anymore."
For example, yeah.
Well, that was like we were coming from arenas to stadiums, and we were adapting the arena show that we've been doing for the past year for stadiums. And then there was a different sort of stage layout, and that was a big thing. And like the choreography and all that stuff, literally, I mean, you saw it, like, and it was huge, man. And for her to be singing and running around like that, just as she does in a normal show, is a lot for anybody, even if you are in shape. But it was just like, holy shit. Like, I mean, it literally like running a marathon. And that was the smartest thing. I mean, I know it was kind of like hard for people to pull off too, because once the thing's in there and it's more than just changing the stage. You know, you're dealing with the promoters and you know, the layout of the stage has to be, I think it has to be okayed by the venues and things like that for insurance reasons and ticket sales and all. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's not as simple as change my stage. A lot had to go into it, and you know, but they did, and it was the smartest move. I mean, because it just, because we went from those rehearsals, we're like, damn, that's gonna be hard, man. It's really gonna be hard. And then once she got that figured out, it was like, you know, nailed it, you know.
Yeah, it seemed like the way that things work in her mind, it was pretty amazing to see how she was working that whole thing out in her brain as to how it should all work. So it was really cool. How much input do you all have to a performance?
I mean, you know, she'll ask, you know, and she always wants us to be honest. And we are, you know, like she'll be like, does this song work? You know, or what do you guys think of this? You know, and you know, there's been times where I'm like, I don't love it. You know, it's not great. Or this is freaking awesome. You know, I remember when we were doing Funhouse, she wanted to do a cover, and she was like, oh, you know, maybe we do a cool flip of like a current pop song, like a Justin Timberlake song or something. We'll flip it and do something cool with it. And I was like, nah, man. I was like, fuck that. Let's do Bohemian Rhapsody. And she was like, okay. And
that was your suggestion?
Yeah. And it was one of the coolest things I feel like we've ever done. I mean, just because because the reason I said that, because the song itself is just epic. And she's such an amazing singer. She's one of the few singers out there, you know, at this level that could pull it off, sing the shit out of it, and sell it. And it just, in the staging of it all, it just was such an amazing, you know, highlight, I think, over the years. It just, you know.
It made it onto the live album.
It made it on the live record, yeah.
It's awesome. Hey, Justin, tell us about the time that they hooked you up in the harness and you got to fly.
Yeah, we thought that you weren't there, and this was like on I'm Not Dead, the end of I'm Not Dead. We'd been on the road. This was like the end of the tour. We'd been in Europe for months, and the last, I think we did 9 shows in the last 10 days of the tour. Wow. And so, like, you know, usually the last show, everybody likes to do practical jokes. So I had this like harness on under my shirt. She didn't notice it. And then it got to a guitar solo, so like the chain came down and my tech like hooked me in, and it pulled me up, and I was up there, and like, you know, it's high and it's pretty uncomfortable as well. You know, the harness is, you know, wrapped tight around, you know, my parts, and so you know. Anyways, I got up there and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Leave him up there." And I was stuck up there for ages.
Oh wow!
And like, you know, I thought, oh, this is really funny. And the joke was really on me.
Yeah.
She flipped that one real quick.
Yeah.
You haven't had your chance. You haven't had your chance, Eva.
No, not yet.
No, I
come on.
Like, I ain't doing that shit.
If Willow can do it, you can do it.
Well, they always, a lot of the guys would ask, you know, the thing that she flies around on. They're like, "Hey, you want to try it?" I'm like, "Hell no, I don't want to try it. I'm good on the ground, man. I'm good to go."
No, I saw that. I hadn't seen her do the big circular thing around the giant arena before, and that scared me. And I was watching it on TV.
Pretty incredible. I mean, especially in the stadium, she's so high up, man, and then she does that drop. It's
no thanks.
On the Carnival tour that we did, the start of it, we had this crane, and it would pull her. You know, she was in this big box, and we had this like fake cannon on stage, and you know, shoot the box or whatever, or it was basically just a loud boom, and the bottom of the box would open up, and she would come flying straight down, and it was we had a crane, so she was probably like 90 to 100 feet in the air, just straight drop. I mean, she had like a harness and a thing, but the thing was fast. And it's just like the shit that she thinks of in the air is kind of amazing.
I remember on that tour, like whenever we would try to find the stage, we're like, just look for the crane.
Yeah, the skyline of the city would change. Then our crane would be like, you know.
Well, especially after she fell, I was pretty blown away that she was able to get back on that horse.
Yeah, yeah, that was scary, man.
That was scary. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was scary. Let's move on to talk about your solo stuff and what you're doing outside of Pink's band. You both got lots of other stuff going on. How do you carve your own path after being in such a huge project like her band?
You just find little time and niches and just places to do your thing. Yeah. And I mean, for me on the road, it was writing and recording songs on days off in hotel rooms while we were on the road. And since we've been home, I've been working on my own stuff, releasing records soon. So I think it's just finding moments where we can do that stuff while still maintaining, the voice and whatever tours that we're doing and just kind of weaving stuff in and out.
Yeah, for me it's been a little harder just because like when I come off the road, usually I go straight back into the voice, and it's like we just finished a live run, and that's it's like 7 days a week, so finding, we do have weeks off at a time when we get breaks, but in those weeks I usually don't want to do anything. To be honest, like I just want to I need to get away from it, because last time we had a little bit of a break, we finished and I was like, oh, I'm going to start working on my next record. I started writing stuff and like, it was cool, but like it ended up being like, I was, trying to write this instrumental rock stuff and it ended up being like a pop song. And it's just because I'm so wired into playing that, that stuff at the time. And so like, it's good to kind of take a step back and take a minute and just get some new perspective and stuff. But I mean, like, for me, I did a record a long time ago, and then ever since then, I've just been working. So hopefully this year I want to find some time to put another one out. And then I also do the jam track stuff, which is a lot of fun. All the JTC guitar stuff. That's in a way kind of like that because it's instrumental ripping, shredding and stuff, but it's also instructional. But I have a good time with that. It helps me.
I'll let you know that our owner Michael Marins, when he saw you play, it was one of your Jam Tracks vids, I think, and your sweep technique, he was like, "Call this guy." Call this guy. He loved the way you played, and so he's the reason you were here.
Vacuum. No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys now.
Yeah. What does it take to get noticed outside of that band and the big stuff that you're doing, whether it be Pink or The Voice or whatever? Eva, what does it take to get your music noticed and how to be your own artist versus a member of that band?
I mean, I think it's just being active with the community is a big part of it. Like we're fortunate because we already have, we're already on stage and we're visible in a way to a fan base. And there are some people that are awesome and they follow you with other things that you do. Which is great. I think it's also just putting yourself out there. There's a lot of people that might know me from other bands that I played in or, creating connections in other respects. And I think it's just a matter of just putting yourself out there and just putting stuff out. I've make music videos and it's harder to make a name for yourself these days when you're trying to do your own thing. And the idea of getting the record deal isn't what it used to be. So for me, I just enjoy putting music out and hopefully someone somewhere will hear it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the game now. I mean, it's, social media and things like that now, it's kind of like, how many views on TikTok or Instagram or what, are you getting? And I think that's what like, if you're trying to go the solo artist route and be successful and get a record deal or whatever, that's really what they're looking at, I think, is you know, your, whatever your streams are on the, you know, the streaming services, things like that, and TikTok, you know, like.
Yeah, the development deal is not really a.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if it hits hard out the gate, you get millions of views on something, and then great, it might chart for like 2 days, and then they're kind of done, you know. I mean, they're not like, you know, I think that's the cool thing about Pink is like she was one of the last generations of artists that actually got, you know, to develop, you know, and build this thing. I mean, she's built this amazing career, and it took time, you know. You don't, even these artists, like look at Taylor Swift. I mean, she's been doing it for a long time. It's taken her a long time to build this huge empire, but nowadays it's like they just don't have the attention span or the patience to put all the time and money that needs to actually go in to develop, you know, something that's going to last forever. You know?
Yeah.
But
what's different about being the leader of the music or the leader of the band, or when you're doing your own stuff, or being a member of that big band? What are the main differences for you?
So, I mean,
different type of pressure.
Different type of pressure, yeah. Like you know, one of the things Justin said earlier about being a band member, like if you're a hired gun, it's knowing your place and knowing like where you fit in that world, right? You're supporting. Your role is to support the artist and do what needs to happen to do that. If you're doing your own thing, you're responsible for your own thing. Like no one else is telling you where to go, when to be there. Like you have to take the initiative to write the songs, record the songs, promote the songs, do all that. You know, you're your own marketing and branding person. You're your own PR person. You know, you're doing a lot of that stuff on your own. And if you're lucky, you can hire a team to help you. When it comes to the hired gun thing, you know, someone just tells us where to be and when to be there. And
I love being told what to do.
and it's a,
my wife
it's
will
a
tell you it's
different kind of
different, but no, you know, yeah, it is a different thing. Like when I went to Australia and I did a tour with my record a while back, and I did a bunch of press and promo and stuff, and there's a lot more pressure because also like I was, you know, paying people to be there, to, you know, other musicians and stuff. And so it's like, man, there's, you know, the pressures of it being successful, you know, for yourself and, you know, for the art of it. And there's also the pressure of the financial burden. Like, you know, I gotta pay these bills, and I considered that tour to be successful, and I ended up basically breaking even, you know, and it was a lot of work, and it gave me a whole newfound respect for, you know, the shit that artists do, man, because it's like the press thing is you're up early morning, lots of interviews all day. It's exhausting, and it's all necessary stuff, and it's things that you know kind of just don't think about, you know.
Excellent.
Until you're, you know.
Yeah. I know that Eva has told me that you guys are not going back out with Pink this year, and things are a little bit quiet on that front. But what does the next year look like for both of you? As we all get back to work, what are you looking forward to? How does it look for you in the next year?
I mean, I've been pretty fortunate because throughout the whole pandemic, I've actually been able to, except for the very beginning, we were very uncertain what was going to happen and things got pushed back. But I was able to do The Voice remotely for a little while, and then they figured out a way to get us in there, and, you know, testing and, you know, masks and the whole nine. So, I mean, for me, this season will last for the rest of this year, and then, you know, but I'm looking forward for shows to start happening, live shows, and like, you know, I just did a thing at the Bowl with Pink, and it was like all for frontline workers, and it was only 4,000 people in a 20,000 seater, you know, so it looked like half empty, but it was so amazing to be back on a stage playing in front of people, and I'm looking forward to getting back out on the road and with her and doing that, you know. I don't see it happening this year because I think that they're probably going to see how things go with the virus, and hopefully we get out of this thing and the whole industry can figure out how we move forward, you know. But I you know, hopefully sometime next year we'll maybe be back out, and who knows, but I'd like that.
Me too.
How about you, Eva? What's your next year look like? You've been doing some new music. I know you got a new record coming out, right?
Yeah, so I'll be doing promotion for that when that's ready, and hopefully playing some shows. It seems like live music things are starting to happen again, so that's the idea. And seems like some live shows are trickling in here and there. Still doing a lot of like remote sessions, which is cool too, because I just did one for someone in Australia last week. So that's always nice when someone's not like, in town. So I've been enjoying that. And really, I don't know, gonna kind of see what happens. But it seems like things are picking back up. So what that looks like for me personally in a live setting, I don't know quite yet, but we shall see.
I do have to say though, I've been enjoying the remote session work because luckily I've got a nice setup, but it's been nice to just sit back and take a second and be like, instead of just, quick, edit together. It's nice to actually just sit down and get something really great and as a performance and send that off rather than, hold on, let me punch that in or whatever, let's fix that, whatever. Which is all fine, but it's been like an extra level of creativity, I think, and just to have a little bit of time to really hone in on something awesome, So
did it feel like a reset for you? You go at such a speed, and artists at your level are traveling at such a speed, and so many things are happening. When this all happened, and you had to kind of take a breather, did it feel like kind of a reset for you personally and professionally, or is it just like let's bomb on through?
A little bit of both, I'd say. Luckily for us, we had just finished the tour a few months prior, and we were going to be on a sort of a down cycle anyway, on some off time. So it was like, thank God this didn't happen while we were out on the road, because that would have sucked, because it was an amazing tour and we did some great stuff, and so that would have really been a shame. So I'm glad that we got that. But in a way, it was when everything sort of shut down for me. I was like, what? It's kind of nice that it sucks what's going on right now, but it's kind of nice to just hang out for a second. And I got to spend a lot of time with my daughter and my wife, which was amazing.
I joke that my niece and nephew know my name. Wow, that's new.
They'd only ever seen you up on the screen before.
Yeah.
If that, yeah.
Who's that?
Who's this person? Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think that's about it from our end. It's really been great to hear from both of you, and especially having you together in the same room to be able to bounce these things off you. We've been really curious, and when it turned out that you were both coming in, this has been on our minds for quite a while that we want to do something like this, and Pathways Magazine gives us the opportunity to do that. So we're able to put this kind of stuff in Pathways, and this July issue is kind of going to be around that theme of getting back to work, from small venues here in our hometown of Grants Pass, Oregon, on up to what you're doing. So we're kind of covering that whole gamut with this issue. So I do want to thank you both for being here. I want to thank Ryan Aylesworth for providing the place for you to get together and to do the picks for you as well. And we really appreciate that. And we'll be watching what goes on. We want to see you back out there in those big arenas playing for the big crowds. And I'm sure that, like many of the people that I've talked to, that's the thing you miss the most.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sure, man.
Excellent. Eva, I love the new hairdo.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Summer dew. Yeah, thank you.
Was it debut for the Billboard Awards? Was that the first time you had that due out?
Yes, it was actually my official public viewing of my new do. Yes, thank you.
And I feel like such an idiot for being the guy that paid attention to something like that.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome.
No, thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, again, thank you both so much. We'll look forward to the issue in coming in July of Pathways. It will live on YouTube and all that kind of stuff too. And I'm sure you'll be looking good on the front cover of the magazine too. So thank you so much for your time. And if Ryan's there at all, thank you, Ryan, very much. We really appreciate it.
He's right here actually taking some shots.
Put your head in there, Ryan.
Thanks. That's great.
Thanks a lot, you guys. Take care of yourselves, okay?
All right, you
You
too.
too.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.